Society wants you to hate yourself, and I'm pretty sure you know that too. Look guys, it's no secret. The beauty standards, the norms, the gender roles, the stereotypes, the everything, the misogyny, the double standards, everything. Like society just wants to put you in a box, and they just want you to be whatever they want you to be. And it's just like, I'll never understand why people always want to satisfy society and why they want to give in to these societal norms that are really like, it's so unrealistic and it doesn't make any sense. I will never understand it, because why would you want to become something that you would later on hate? It's just like a thing that I heard for another song. It's like, if I was really what y'all made me to be, I would hate myself. Because you would become a person that society wants you to be, but then becoming that person and then having that version of yourself, would you even like that version of yourself? Probably not, because it's based on a lot of people's opinions. It's based on other people's perceptions, based on other people's insecurities, based on other people's projections. And it's just like, why would you want to morph yourself? And why would you want to create a version of yourself that is just based on other people's opinions? And in whichever way they want to alter your brain, alter your body, or whatever the case may be, they will do it. They will do whatever the heck they want with it, because it's like you're literally a puppet and they can do whatever they want with you. And it's like, is that the type of life that you want to live? Is that the type of person that you want to be? I'm pretty sure it's no, sweetheart, because that is a sad life to live. Hi guys, welcome to another Unfiltered Talk, hashtag number 4. I saw that a lot of people liked the women hate women episodes, so I was like, you know what, let me kind of continue these unfiltered talks. There's quite a number of things that I want to talk about, but the focus of it all is the fact that society hates you, and all of these stereotypes, all of these unrealistic standards, these unrealistic beauty standards are literally getting on my nerves. And I feel like it's the fact that, you know, these trends that people also want to follow and wanting to keep up with society and whatever society deems as beautiful, whatever society deems as right in this current moment, people are literally going to be jumping for it and wanting to be that. And it's just like, why are we doing this? Do we not live in a society? Do we not live in a time where we're finally preaching about mental health? We're finally preaching about real life instances that, you know, have caused other people to unalive themselves, and, you know, talk about having free spaces where you can speak about your trauma. Are we not in a time of therapy? Instead of actually, you know, because we're talking about all of these things, is mental health, trauma, childhood traumas, you know, all of these experiences that we've had in our past and stuff like that, you would think, because we're more open to that as a society, and this is something that's normal in our society, you would think that people are not prone to hate you anymore, are not prone to put all of these unrealistic standards upon people, male or female and stuff like that. And it's just so weird how it's still something that's normal. It's still something that's normal in a society where we talk about things of like mental health, where we have all of these suicide prevention programs and all of these things. And it's like, how is it a society that stands for all of these things is contradicting it through things that are put on the internet? Because that's what it is. It's like, what society wants to voice contradicts the way in the things that it wants from humans on the internet. It literally makes no sense to me. It's just like, what are we really doing here? Like, instead of getting better, we're getting worse. We're getting worse. And it's like, people are getting called out and being hated on for voicing their opinions, for, you know, being vulnerable. And people are being hated for things that we have quite like literally normalized. We've quite normally like created a room for people to be more vulnerable, to express themselves and stuff like that. But we still are in a time where people at the same time are getting criticized for all of that. literally makes no sense. Like, please make it make sense, guys, because it does not make sense to me, like, genuinely. Oh my gosh, the first thing that I have written on here, I think it was inspired by, honestly, it wasn't even just inspired about one thing in particular. I think, for example, I could use a lot of musicians, like a lot of artists. I feel like once they have come out and let's say they release a body of work, you know, and everything, and it's probably focused, or it's based on one genre, and now once they have this new era where they're experimenting and where they're trying to actually challenge themselves into doing something that is outside of their comfort zone, they get criticized. It never made sense to me. Is that I don't understand where that comes from, because it's the same people that will hate on you, right, and say that, oh, I don't understand why they keep recycling and why they keep using the same work. They sound the same, they say the same thing in every video, blah 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 blah. They say the same thing in every song sounds the same, every project, every blah blah blah. But then the second someone actually experiments and does something outside of that and do what you asked, it just goes to show that those people are also stuck with the past version of themselves, and the mere fact that they cannot let go of that old version of you that they've attached themselves to, and now they're projecting because they themselves can't even move on from a version of you, because maybe that version of you that used to produce whatever work that you used to produce back then, they are also maybe stuck in a time of like they cannot get over that, and they're so used to that, and because of that comfort and that familiarity, and that maybe you used to produce a lot of things that sort of resonated with their old life, and I feel like now that you've transformed into somebody else, now they want to criticize you just because they themselves can't even move on from something that's personal in their own lives. It literally makes no sense, and it never will make sense, and I feel like this is why we'll never grow, not only as a community but just as a society. And this is kind of inspiring me to make another unpopular opinion video, because I think I have quite a lot of opinions that I want to voice. People that just kind of want you to stay small and kind of want you to stay and be the person that you were 5 years ago. Oh, I miss the old version of you. Oh, I miss when you did this. That was the only version of you that hit. Oh, you were in your prime. Who are you? Who are you, Jack from the basement, to be telling me or to be telling any other person who's doing anything creative, who's doing anything that requires them to experiment, requires them to, you know, immerse themselves in new experiences and stuff like that? Who are you to be telling somebody else, Jack from the basement, that that person is no longer in their prime, and that I liked you better when you were in your prime? Who are you to even tell me when was my prime? What if this person feels like, you know what, this is actually the time where I feel like the best. This is the time where I feel the most authentic. Because I feel like other people's perception and other people's belief of like what you will like or when was your prime is so much more different than when a person would actually be like, this is my prime. I feel like a person would feel like this is my prime where they feel like they're actually at a point where they can be independent with their work and what they can actually do. They can put like their ideas without being judged, without having to fight for a position in something, without having to fight for having their own work put out into the world. Because maybe back in the day they used to do things, but it was just influenced because of other people's ideas, and it was just because of what other people wanted, and they were putting things out that weren't true to them. But now you want, and that you saw that as the prime version of themselves, that was the peak of them, of whatever the case is. But they don't feel that way because they don't feel like that was authentic to them. They don't feel like that was when they were being their true selves and everything. And you, Jack from the basement, want to tell them as if you know the story of their lives that this is not your prime? Excuse me. And then I wrote here, but they will be the same people to shame people who reuse and recycle the same content, music, business strategy or anything to do with artistry. It literally makes no sense. I just don't know where this idea and where this normalization of society wanting to shrink yourself came from. I don't know why people wanted people to humble themselves and to shrink themselves just for society in the first place. I don't know who came up with that concept. I don't know what it was. But guys, these cars, if I'm really like thinking about it right now, I think social media has a lot to do with it, because there's not much that I remember about life before social media, in a sense, if that makes sense. It's just like, it was like a blur for me. It was just like, oh, this happened. Like, I remember like certain instances or whatever, but I can't remember how life within itself was. And I feel like there's so many other people who actually got to experience what life was like before social media and everything, like our parents and stuff like that, like how they would differentiate and everything. But I feel like it comes a lot from social media, like FOMO, I wouldn't even dare to think that FOMO was a thing before social media. But I think because you're so exposed to other people's, other people's lives and stuff, and you can easily have access into someone's day in their life and week in my life and whatever, the fact that, it's easily accessible, like you can just see it if you want to, right? And I feel like that creates a lot of FOMO, the fact that anybody can just see what you're doing at any time that you decide to post. That creates a lot of FOMO. And I feel like if that wasn't there in the first place, if there wasn't room for you to share your experience online, that person wouldn't be experiencing FOMO. So I feel like now, as I'm thinking about it, I think it came from social media. And I just thinking that these people on social media came with their insecure asses, and because they had been shrunked, or because they had shrunken themselves in the past, now they want you to be small, and now they have found their own little community and they call themselves haters or call themselves critiques, and they form their own little community, and now they're like in their basements being keyboard warriors and wanting people to shrink themselves just because this is a community, and as a collective, that's the way that they feel. And you know what's funny? And I know it's like another thing of like society kind of wanting you to shrink yourself and hate yourself, when they try to create a narrative of you based on what they see online, based on what you decide to show them. I always feel like it's so crazy because I don't think a lot of them realize, like a lot of the viewers and the audience realize, that whatever these people decide to put on online is a version of themselves that they want to present to the internet. It's a version of themselves that they allow you to see, and for you to take that and try to twist it is so funny, because they're only allowing you to see what they feel that they should allow you to see, and for you to take that and take that probably out of context, and for you to take it as that person also being that entire personality is so, there's not even a word to describe it. It's just weird that people always try to create this narrative, and they try to create this narrative of you. They want you and they want other people to hate that version of you, and it's just so weird, because why are you so focused, hyper-focused on me? Why does the fact that I'm coming here and being my authentic self, why does that upset you just because you know that you don't have that within yourself? Another lyric. Oh my gosh, guys, I've been making a lot of lyrical references over here. And we're painting their own pictures and they crop me in, meaning they are shaping, they paint an image, right, of you. It's a Nicki lyric. They're painting an image of you, and they are cropping you, and they are trying to create you and create this version of you that it's going to fit perfectly with their narrative. And it's like, where do you get all the time in the world to do that, Jack? Oh, okay. So this is inspired by an episode in which I watched. It's called In My Opinion podcast, and I think Madam Joyce was the guest, right? And she spoke about how, I don't know, was it, I may be mixing it up, but there's another creator, there's another podcaster, she's a poet, her name is simply Shayo. She doesn't believe in Black women being humble, because from ages ago we were told that we weren't as desirable, that we were never worth anything in the first place. So she's just like, from a place where we were literally seen as nothing but pathetic, why would we still want to carry on with that ideology right now with the freedom that we have, right? And I was like, valid enough. And then Madam Joyce was speaking about something about, you know, growing up as a dark-skinned woman, you're not seen as desirable. And I just felt like it was a very interesting thing that both of the women said. And I feel like it's so weird how much society wants Black women to hate themselves. It's just so weird how there's always a forced competition between Black women, two Black successful women and everything. And it's just like, it never has to be a thing where two successful women have to beef now because one of them has to get the top ranking spot or whatever the case is. It's absolutely absurd, and I just feel like it's even more reason for people to just show that they're a colorist, you know, and that they do prefer light skins over dark skins, which is a conversation in which I will never understand. And I just feel like being a Black woman within itself is one difficult task, and I feel like it doesn't make sense to me as to why society keeps on trying to shrink women of a darker complexion. I don't understand why beauty within itself is held in your skin color. I think that never made sense to me in the first place. It's just so funny because people still have these ideologies of like, you know, eugenics, not social Darwinism, my mistake. Eugenics and everything of just like, you know, the lighter you are, the more appealing you are, the more beautiful you are. And it's just like, these are ideas that come from history books, and it's like, why is that translating into the present? Why is that translating in a society that is meant to be free from all of that? A society that is, you know, it's more open, you know, and it's allowing us to just be one as a community. Why is it that I can still see that division? Why is it that it goes back to the thing of like I was saying, like we've become a more open society, but at the same time we get criticized for being open. It's like you're contradicting everything that you're for as a society. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, as I said earlier on, like Black women or Black people in general not being seen as desirable ages ago, just based on the complexion, your complexion and everything. And it's so funny because now it's become like a thing of like, in a few instances there will be like eras or like phases where being African is a thing now, being darker skinned is like a thing now. And I hate that it's just momentarily, and then when that trend ends, we go back to our racist and our coloristic ways as a society, not as individuals, obviously not. But it's just weird to me how, like, why is it that like if you have to be with a darker skinned woman, or if you have to be a Black, or you have to be with a Black woman, it's a matter of like you're fetishizing, or it's like a thing of like you're only now embracing the African side of you and whatever because it's trendy, because it's something that society is acknowledging in this moment. Now you feel as if you have to acknowledge that. Well, if that didn't happen, if society didn't acknowledge it, if society never put it on the map, you know, let's say, would there ever been a part of you that actually wanted to acknowledge that side of yourself that is actually African and embracing that side of yourself? I don't know, I feel like that's an interesting thing. I feel like it's just like, I feel like a lot of people love being Black, or a lot of people like being African, specifically African, when it's beneficial, when it's trendy, when it's good for them. when it's good for them. Whereas I feel like, would you have embraced that part of you? Would you have embraced that side of you if that wasn't the case? And I feel like I know the answer already, and the answer alone just doesn't sit right with me. It just makes me so sad, you know, because it's like, what about the generation that's to come? And I feel like a lot of people, especially in the way that people think, the way that you think of yourself is it the way that you would want like your daughter to think of you? Because now you're also going to, you know, put someone out in this world that is probably the same race as you, who probably looks just like you, has your hair, has your skin color, and has all of these things. Would you want her to shy away from, you know, her heritage and her roots and everything, and only just acknowledge it when it's convenient? Like, and to just hate everything, just hate her background? Like, would you want her to, I don't know, guys, am I making sense? Because I feel like sometimes I'll just be talking and I'll be trying to make sense, but I don't think I am. But I really hope that sinks in, and I hope that I put that out the best way that I possibly could. But I just hate the fact that being African and everything is only embraced if it's like a thing of like, it's trendy. Oh, there's so much I want to talk about in terms of colorism, but I'll save it for another day because I want to make a separate episode to that. It genuinely upsets me and I don't want to get upset right now. Stop internalizing other people's version of beauty of yourself. It's your body, mind, and soul. I stand by this. Don't internalize other people's version of you. And this goes back to, because I feel like, especially as as a child, my standard of beauty was completely different from what it is now. I think that sometimes growing up, your standard of beauty is based on like your environment and just the things that you've been exposed to, you know, obviously. And it's just like a lot of the things that I was taking in was just not anything that reflected me, my color skin, my hair. Everything that I sort of like was accustomed to was everything that was completely different away, like completely different from me. And I just feel like growing up, I had to create my own version and my own standard of beauty, which is yourself, which is probably your own race. I don't want to make it like a racial thing, but really and truly, to be fair, it's about that. Because you can't be raised, I'm going to take myself as an example. Let's say I'm growing up a black girl, growing up as a little black girl. I cannot be growing up with the standard of beauty where I see thin noses, blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin. What type of beauty standard am I setting up on myself if that's the way that I want to look? That's unrealistic. That's like, I completely just literally, I have to turn into a completely different person for me to become that, for me to obtain, you know, just be part of that beauty standard. I would have to change who I am, and I would probably have to dislike myself and my skin and my hair and everything that makes me black, if that makes sense, for me to be a part of this beauty standard that has kind of been the standard literally since ages ago, and it literally irritates me. And I think that it's so important to set up a version of beauty for yourself that is genuinely realistic for you and allows you to actually be comfortable in your skin, in your race, and in everything that kind of makes you you. This one says, it's weird how people analyze your body and it's not theirs. I've always found it very disturbing, actually. It's very jarring if someone analyzes your body as if it's theirs. I mean, genuinely, you don't have to look at me. You don't even have to be associated with me. In fact, go make friends with people that you feel like they're better to look at than me. Does that make sense? Like, if I bother you so much, then just don't be around me. Because if you're gonna comment every single time, if you're gonna say things on the side, then it's just best just to not be in my space. Clearly I bother you, clearly something within me bothers you, so just don't be around me. I feel like certain people have a version of themselves that they want to be, right? And if that's a person that they want to be, whatever body type that means, you know, whatever body type that they want to be a part of, they can be that. But I feel like recruiting other people, I will I know if the other person does not want to, they don't want to. You clearly have a standard of beauty. You clearly have a standard of a specific body type, right? So it's like, why are you exposing yourself to a completely different body type? Why are you oh my days. And why are you then criticizing someone who is not your ideal version of pretty, sexy, attractive, whatever? Why are you now critiquing every single thing about them just because you don't like the way that their legs are shaped? Why? Fair enough, you can have your own preference and stuff like that, but I just feel like making unnecessary comments about somebody else and they have a different body type from yours is completely uncalled for. And the comparison thing, from comparing this body type to another just to kind of like substantiate your point of like, you genuinely find this side attractive rather than this side. And this one is about religion. This one is a good one. I really like this one. This one is about the people that claim to be, you know, these religious people. I don't even want to tie it to any specific religion, but it's just these people that be preaching that, oh, I am a child of God, but they're not living up to what they're saying. Like, they don't practice what they preach. It's kind of giving pastors. Pastors will sweat in churches. Like, you would swear that everything that they're saying is coming from the bottom of their heart, that they believe in everything that they're saying, but their life is not even a reflection of that. It rubs me the wrong way. Like, it really does. It really does, because they will be the same people now judging other people for not. That's another thing. I feel like that's another thing. I think I was talking to my friend about it the other day. I was talking to Valen about it the other day, and I was like telling her, isn't it so weird how, it was the topic of, because I think there's two types of Muslims. I'm gonna put them on the screen because I don't want to make a mistake, child. But she was telling me about the two different types and everything. And then I think it just came to a point where I was just like, I don't understand why somebody else would not, because this other girl is a Muslim. I think it's a scenario of the two families that, you know, obviously they separated by sisters and whatever. One side of the family is a different type of Muslim, the other type of family is another type of Muslim, right? So this other family doesn't like this other family because they don't do what these Muslims do. Does that make sense? So, and I'm like, I don't understand that, because especially now they're also coming from a place of judgment. Like, there's one particular family towards the other member of the family, they're coming from a place of judgment. And this is why I will never understand why people always harshly judge, because it's like, you thinking that if you judge someone, especially like if you judge them harshly, will make them magically want to sort of like understand your perspective is bonkers to me, because it's like, you're meant to come up from a place of empathy and understanding for them to, you know, feel heard and feel understood in a sense, and not feel like everything that they're saying is being tossed in the back because you're just judging them based on what you're seeing, but you're not listening, because listening is also a choice and a skill, you know? So it's like, you're not listening, you're doing selective hearing right now. You're only hearing what you want to hear, right? It's like, how do you ever think that you could coexist, you know, and you could probably introduce this person into your religion if you're just going to come from a place of hard judgment, rather than actually coming to them with empathy, compassion, and understanding? Because no matter which religion you sort of like belong to, in a sense, they all kind of like just hold that same kind of similar in that aspect, where they all kind of believe in empathy, compassion, and understanding. If you yourself as a human being don't even have that, then girl, who are you to judge? Let's be real, who are you to judge? Oh, this is bold. Oh, this is bold. I said, I think parents need to do more. I still stand by this, but I'm just saying that the statement within itself with no context is probably very bold to say, but I think parents need to do more. I believe that parents need to do more in the emotional, mental, psychological field. I think it's very important for that to be a thing, and I think it implies a lot with African parents, because they grew up in a time where it was completely different from ours, where you kind of just had to say yes to everything, whether or not you agreed to everything, whether or not it was disrespectful. You just always just had to, you know, respect your elders and whatnot. And if you said no, it would be disrespectful. If you stood up for yourself, it would be disrespectful because you can't talk back and all of these things. Fair enough, they grew up in that type of environment and they grew up with that type of vibe, so now they bring all of those beliefs and those experiences into this new time and everything. But I feel like parents can preach about coming from a place of understanding, but I feel like with the things that they say, it's not really coming from a place of understanding. It's like, I can clearly tell you've missed the point. I can completely tell you've taken this out of context. I can see right through it, chat. And like, I can tell that you're not emotionally connecting to me on the same level that I want you to connect with me on, you know. And it's like a thing of like, they may preach about and they may talk about, oh, but I was once your age, so I know those type of things. Oh, I was once your age, I did those type of things. Okay, fair enough. But is it ever coming from a place of genuine understanding, or are you saying that just based on your experience of like, I was also young, so it's a thing of like, just because I was young and I also was experienced life and everything, I understand that it does not equal, it's not equivalent to one another. Just because you were a kid and whatnot, it's not equivalent to understanding to what your child may be going through. Does that make sense? It can be quite quick to say that, you know, you can tell me anything, I'll understand. You can let me know of this, I'll understand. I would love for you to talk to me more. I would love to us to be a lot more closer and everything. It's a lot easy to say all of this stuff, but I feel like if you hadn't built that foundation from the moment that your child is in their adolescent years, it will be very hard for that child, to be able to express themselves later on in their teenage years. I feel like it will be 10 times harder, because it's like, if you had built that foundation from the beginning, we wouldn't be having this struggle of me not being able to communicate with you like a normal person to another person, because I'm afraid that you'll miss the point and you'll misunderstand the things. So I just feel like they need to do more in terms of like the emotional side of things. I feel like obviously there's a lot of things that they have to do within itself. Like, I acknowledge that there's a lot on their plate and I will never have to take that away from them, but I just think that there just needs to be a lot more empathy and a lot more reassurance. I think that especially in the times of a child transitioning, you know, from just being a toddler to not going to school, being in their adolescent years, being a teenager, and then they quick into adulthood. I feel like there's a lot that goes on during that period of time, and there's a lot of, you know, deep talks and vulnerable moments that need to take place of like reassuring a child and making sure that they actually feel their best selves in terms of like their self-esteem and stuff like that. Just emotionally, just building up that emotional resilience and, you know, emotional connection with other people. It's just such a vital part, and I just feel like then you will probably be able to come from a place of actually understanding your child, if that makes sense. But hey ho, I'm not a parent, I wouldn't understand, but I just feel like it's a very important thing that I just feel like it's not really emphasized a lot. People don't really pay attention to that, because that would mean a lot to the kid, because during that period there's a lot that's going on through a child's life and stuff like that you wouldn't even think of as a parent, because you also have a lot on your plate. Acknowledging where they are in life right now and reassuring them things are going to be okay, you're still beautiful and everything. Just those words of affirmation, they probably could mean more to the child, and that emotional presence would just change the dynamic of their relationship within itself. And I feel like people just focus more on just being physically there, but I feel like being emotionally in tuned and being emotionally present and available. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope you learned a lot. I hope you took in a lot. This is really inspiring to do an unpopular opinion video. Let me know what you guys want in the next few videos. I'll definitely look into it. And yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because a lot of you guys, it's like 70% are not subscribed. You're watching. rubbish.